So good morning. Welcome to the YWCA Southeastern Massachusetts Under One Roof Groundbreaking Ceremony. So I'm Gail Forts, Executive Director, and I'm so excited to finally be here. Thank you all for your long-standing support of our organization and our project. We know it's been a long time coming, but the day is finally here. We are ready to start. So welcome to the new home of YW Kids School-Age Childcare and Another Woman's Place housing program for women. We would not be here without some staunch supporters, not only board members, participants, volunteers, committee members, elected officials, and state agencies. To do this project, we first started a long time ago raising money to refurbish and renovate our Levi Standish house, and then deciding what we were going to do for our addition. So it took a long time, but we made a lot of choices, and we feel that this is the best choice for us and the design. Hopefully you'll have a chance to look at it. Some of our staff is over there at the table. They can explain it to you. They're our program staff, and we're really, really excited to be here. So I just want to introduce some of the speakers. I'll just introduce everyone, and then they'll come up one by one in a second. So we have our current board president, Dr. Julie Parker, Senator Mark Montigny, City Council President Linda Morad, and Teresa Jordan, who's the director of the Children's Facilities Finance Fund for the Children's Investment Fund. Let's see. And on this side, we have Mayor Jon Mitchell, Representative Antonio Cabral, Roger Herzog, the Executive Director of the Community Economic Development Assistance Corporation, and Susan Terry, the Assistant Undersecretary for the Massachusetts Department of Housing and Community Development. I also want to recognize some of our public officials that are in the audience. City Councilor Dana Ribeiro, City Councilor Joseph Lopes, City Councilor Scott Lima. I think that's everybody, I believe, so thank you so much. We also wouldn't be here without our wonderful board of directors. So the current board, please stand. And I want to recognize we have many, many former board members, including many past board presidents that are here in the audience as well. So I want to recognize them for all of their hard work. So one by one, Jan Baptist, could you please stand up here in the front? Jan got us going off on this project. Lena Pyers in the back. And Nicole Almeida, the immediate past president, could not be here. She's at a conference. So we're going to send her the film for this. But Nicole, if you're watching, thank you so much for all of this. And we have many other former board members. Could you stand up, former board members that are here? Thank you so much. I know, President former. And our amazing staff who, with so much patience to get through this project, go through many revisions, and have our vision. So can the staff stand up? Many of the staff are over there and in the front. Well, thank you so much. And last but certainly not least, Yvonne Drayton, the former executive director. Could you please stand? Not going to stand up? She started this original vision. She is my mentor, always has been, always will be. I would not be the woman I am without you, so thank you, Yvonne. Not crying. No crying. We said no crying. No crying. And many other donors, supporters, advocates. Many of you are here today. Thank you for your belief in us, your dedication, your support to our mission of eliminating racism, empowering women. It is so great that today actually is Stand Against Racism Day. Nationwide, YWCAs are celebrating all week long, but today is the actual day, Stand Against Racism. So it's quite fitting that our groundbreaking ended up being on this day as we continue our journey, work for social justice, racial justice, and work towards the elimination of racism and the empowerment of women. So thank you again so much. So, and I also want to introduce our teams. So some of them are sitting different places, but Women's Institute for Housing and Economic Development, Ann Raitmeyer, who's our consultant on the project. Our attorney, Mark DeShane, right there, Mark. Andrea Jones from Fishbone, I don't know where she went. Oh, Andrea's right there, and Sarah Holden from Fishbone Management. Our architect, Eric Chamberlain, in the back. Our construction company, South Coast Improvement, in the back. So again, thank you so much for everything and all your support. Oh, and Eric Paradise, our investment advisor. Where's Eric? Thank you. Thank you so much. So now I'd like to introduce the mayor of the city of New Bedford, Jon Mitchell, for a few words.
Well, thanks, everybody, and welcome. I knew this day would come. I think we all did, this project is a testament to a number of things. You can't help but I go to all the elected officials, go certainly to lots of ribbon cuttings and groundbreakings, but one thing that just struck me, and I'm sure it struck the others, is that there were a lot of people involved in this along the way, an awful lot, and it really, to get something like this off the ground, it really does require a team effort. And so from the funding end of things to the design to the programming to the volunteers to everybody, and I just want to salute all of you for being part of it for so long and sticking with it. I know it's been a long time. It's all worth it though, and we will soon see, as we will soon see, in consolidating the YWCA's efforts under one roof, we will see the kind of synergy that Gail and Yvonne and so many others along the way have envisioned for the place. We're all about being in the business of empowering people, especially women and children in our city, to make sure that we're throwing the doors open to opportunity, that everybody gets a fair shot, and sometimes that takes support. And that's the business we are in, that's the business you are in, and we are so grateful for your efforts along the way and your determination and your insistence that this project get done. I want to thank a few folks in particular. I want to thank Pat Sullivan, Lori Mooring, who's here. Lori, wave to everybody, for all of your efforts in not just in shepherding the city's funding of the project, but also in working closely with Gail and her team to make sure that it's activated well. I want to thank Senator Montigny and Representative Cabral for their long-standing support of this project, and as well, the financing stack includes city, state, philanthropic, nonprofit. It's all there, and it all had to be there in order to work. And I want to thank all the nonprofit partners along the way as well. Thank you for being there. These are the best projects when everybody can come together and get it done. And we had to make some adjustments along the way, and it's going to be in the end a much better finished product. And I want to just close by reserving my most heartfelt thanks and appreciation and admiration for the leadership of Gail Forts. She's stuck with it from the start, and she had a vision, a very clear-eyed vision of of the possibilities here, of the role of the facility right here on 6th Street and what it could mean for the physical environment here, the downtown, but more particularly for the potential that it could unlock in so many women and children in our city and throughout Greater New Bedford. So Gail, thank you for your leadership along the way. It's really going to pay off well for a lot of folks. So we look forward to the groundbreaking, but again, thank you everybody for being part of the team. It's really going to make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Now I'd like to introduce our board president, Dr. Julie Parker.
Thanks, Gail. So on behalf of the YWCA Board of Directors, I am thrilled this day has finally arrived. Some of you here today remember how long this journey has been. This three-part project actually started with a feasibility study in 2002 under the leadership of Board President Dr. Patricia Andrade and former Executive Director Yvonne Drayton. This led to the Under the One Roof campaign with our main goal of bringing, as you know, YW Kids school-age program and Another Woman's Place residential program literally under one roof. Phase one included raising $750,000 under Neil Weiss, who was chair of the Capital Campaign Steering Committee, and addressed much-needed work to our existing building. Phase two was completed in '06 under the leadership of the new Executive Director, Gail Forts, and Board President Jan Baptist. And they raised over $250,000 over 5 years for more updates to Standish House, including external work as well. Then phase three was where we are now. So raising the $4.2 million needed for this was challenging. Under the leadership of Board President Nicole Almeida, the YWCA Southeastern Mass made the decision to change our design and development team to complete the project. To begin this, we hired the Women's Institute for Housing and Economic Development as project consultant, and simultaneously we engaged the services of Davis Square Architects, who redesigned the project to better serve our needs. And lastly, we hired Fishbone Management as our owner's representative. So last year, under the leadership of Board President Lena Pyers and Executive Director Gail Fort's strong grant writing ability, we finally received the funding needed to complete the project. We hired South Coast Improvement Company to serve as a construction company on this project. So I get to be the Monday morning quarterback who comes in as president, and I didn't want to use a sports reference, but I couldn't find another one that seemed fitting. To be the one who's here to finally break ground in the leadership in this role, which I'm so honored to serve in, but there are so many women who came before me to get to this place. So now we're ready to break ground and begin construction next week. This is only the first step of our expansion. As we consolidate our New Bedford programs under our roof, we will begin to reach out to other areas of our region to provide necessary programs and opportunities to eliminate racism and empower women from Brockton to Cape Cod. We're thrilled to be taking this big step forward and to thank all of you who have stuck by us on this long journey. And there are still ways you can support the new addition by buying bricks, supporting us as one of our 50 businesses, buying furniture. Wouldn't you like to have your name on a couch? So with this expansion, we believe, this board of directors believes, that our mission is now unstoppable. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Dr. Parker. So great. Next, I'd like to introduce someone, well, two people actually, the senator and the representative who through both their efforts in the Senate and in the House secured, that was the starting point for us, the $1 million through the bond bill that got us going and catapulted us up to really figuring out what we were going to do and how we were going to get this building funded through. So both of you, Senator Montigny and Rep. Cabral, thank you so much. So first, Senator Montigny.
Thank you, Gail. I had a little trouble getting myself off the chair because I had a hip replacement not long ago and I'm working on the second one. So it's the only reason I deserve more empathy than those that have to walk on the grass with high heels. I actually started to complain. I'm not kidding. I looked at the board president and I said, well, how come my chair is like sinking into the mud? And she goes, well, try high heels. You didn't know I was going to quote you. So I was thinking that when I'm looking at the T-shirts, eliminating racism and empowering women, perhaps it should continue, and we should say, and loving children and enlightening men. And I actually get the two of those categories, because I got the love at the YWCA where I learned to swim, much to my chagrin as a young boy at the time. I said, Mom, how come my friends are over at the YMCA? And she said, you're better off at the YWCA. And you know what, I think I might have been, because it was one hell of a good experience for me, as I now teach my 4-year-old, yes, I know, I skipped a generation. You're looking and say, what, your 4-year-old grandson? No, my 4-year-old son. As I teach him to swim, I think about the wonderful lessons that I learned at the YWCA. Not just lessons about how to survive in the pool and at the beach, but lessons in life. And I still, this is really bad, I still remember the smell of the pool because I didn't want to go in that pool. It was like cold, and but it was a fabulous experience. So you loved me along with all the other children, and you have certainly enlightened me and men who need to learn why every day you need to fight to eliminate racism and empower women. You empower all of us. My heartfelt thanks to Gail and to Yvonne and to all the board. Once I begin with naming, I know I missed someone, but I do want to say this, that when we did the bond for $1 million, I would have done it because of your mission. You didn't have to have Jane Gonzalez call me every single day. You probably got about $10 per phone call to get to $1 million. But not only Jane and Gail, but I have a lot of friends on the board and a lot of volunteers that made this happen. So I assure you that you had Tony and I at please. But the phone calls were fun. It gave Jane a chance to tell me all the other things that I needed to get done on that particular day. So thank you, Jane, former Councilor Jane Gonzalez. So let me just say one thing. I think the mission is clear. And I won't try to regurgitate all the square footage and the cost and the great work, but I do want to just say one thing. As you can imagine, former athletes never stop talking about records. We exaggerate, we shave time off, we do things pretty consistently, but I have to bring this one up because I think about the fight that I had, not a real physical fight, but a verbal jousting that I had with friends of mine post-college athletics when they tried to tell me that they played the sport of golf. And I convinced them that my opinion was they played the game of golf. And then my main premise in my argument, I think, makes me feel pretty comfortable that the work you're doing is urgent. And that is this. I said, if golf were a sport, then why would you give something called a handicap to try to advantage all those folks that aren't as good as the other ones they're competing against? None of them had an answer. Then I thought about all of the lessons I've learned in life and the lessons I now try to share with my son. And I don't know how I would explain to him this sort of false impression that we give children from the time they are old enough to listen and learn, and that is that we are all created equally. We are all created equally, but we certainly don't all have an equal advantage, and we certainly don't all have equal opportunity. And I'm thinking, if we could find a way to apply golf, or apply handicap to golf, why can't we find a way to apply that same concept to every single thing we do from the time a child is born? Why can't we just look at everyone in their situation, where they're born, who they're born to, what their challenges are, what their struggles are, and apply the programs like this YWCA does to say, we are not going to accept anything less than equal opportunity for every child. I'm confounded by that. I don't just sit there behind the podium and think, what will I say today? I struggle with that every day, and after being in office this long, the fact that I have more questions than answers is deeply troubling to me. We don't do what we say. We don't offer the best education in the world equally to every child. In fact, it's a lie. I mean, we literally bring up children to believe that there is no such thing as advantage or disadvantage. If you listen to the rhetoric, I don't mean the daily upbringing and the daily struggles that we encounter in families. So I want to close today, even though it's unfortunately preaching to the well-converted, but I also know that when we as elected officials or you as community leaders stand behind the podium, we not only preach to each other, to those that are involved every day, but there's an audience on TV and in the newspaper and on radio and on social media, and every day we have to debunk those myths that somehow racism has been eliminated, women are empowered, children are all given equal opportunity. It just simply isn't true, and I'm perhaps more mindful than ever of this because I know that my child right now has tremendous opportunity for the simple reason that I had tremendous opportunity. I grew up in a home where although we had struggles like most, I was advantaged because I had a mom and dad in my home that understood why education was so important. So that, therefore, now intergenerationally, my son is advantaged. And what gets me inspired, because it's kind of depressing when I think of how many children are suffering in this city, in this state, in this country, what gets me hope and makes me stay inspired and committed is I see programs like this, and I think of Gail and Yvonne and so many others and think, you have to have hope, because every day there are people fighting to bring down those barriers, to eliminate racism, to empower women. But as I said, I think by loving children and enlightening men, you go a long way in fighting the struggle on the first two. So thank you for bothering me every day to do my job, and for honoring us by the way you do your job. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. I know you enjoy those phone calls. So now it's my pleasure to introduce Representative Antonio Cabral.
Well, good morning. It's not easy following my good senator, and I am his state representative. Next time I'm going to ask you to reverse the order, right? Because let's use the European version of who comes to the microphone first and who comes last, because the order is the more important person goes last, right? So this way I have a chance of going before Senator Montigny, my good friend, I may say. Using sports as to try to describe, I'm going to use soccer, all right, if you don't mind. Even though one of my favorite sports is actually football. American football, when you say football, people get confused. They think it's, but soccer, really, that's what this is about. Because you can't win games if you are an individual in that field, right? It's really a team sport. And how you win games is by playing as a team. And this really represents a teamwork. And this is how we are here today. So without all of you working as a team, we would not be able to be here today. Senator Montigny and I, worked, I'm going to use the word extremely hard, because it is hard work most of the times, to get the necessary funding to get this project off the ground. And I am thrilled to be here at today's groundbreaking, the culmination of a community-wide effort. And the crowd here is an example, primarily women heavy, right? And that's good, because growing up in my house with 7 sisters and my mother and my grandmother, there was always a crowd full of women. And women don't take no for an answer very often. And this is another reason why we are so proud of all of you in this community, because you are involved and you are together and you make things happen. And without you, I think this community would be not as rich as it is. So we are very proud of all of your work. Back some time ago, and I'm not going to give you the date because it's been a while, as I said, we secured $1 million authorization for this project in one of the bond bills that goes through the legislature. In this case, that's the committee that I chaired at some time ago. That's the committee that also, at the time, that Senator Montigny used to chair on the Senate side. For this project, numerous other state grants and loans were awarded to this important project since then, and as a result of our persistence and your persistence and your tenacity, we are finally here to break ground on this critical social service project that will consolidate the YWCA service under one roof. With this building, it's more than a building, as you know, but with this building, the YWCA will be able to better serve over 5,000 women and children in the greater New Bedford area, a remarkable undertaking. I have tremendous confidence in Gil Forts, the staff, and the board of directors, present and past, for championing this project, and the entire YWCA staff. Where's the staff? They work hard. Thank you all for your dedication to serving our community. I look forward for the day that we're actually going to be opening this facility to see also those children running around. I'm not going to give you stories of children like Senator Montigny did, but I do have a little one running around my house as well. And she's sort of one of the bosses in the house. And she's been after me, to get a dog. Imagine, right? And finally we're going to get a dog. I'm shocked myself. But, anyway, it's always nice. It's nice to really hear Senator Montague talking about his son, because that brings so many memories, I guess, to many of you and to all of us. It's wonderful to have young people running around. It makes you energized, and it makes you really committed. So thank you all, and let's come back on the day that we open the facility. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Cabral. Next is our City Council President, Linda Morad, to speak.
Thank you, Gail. So, Representative Cabral, I'm going to pick up on that theme about last one speaking most important. I believe I'll be followed by all women, so. Anyway, I'm honored to be here today. This is just an absolutely wonderful day. We've been waiting for this day since 2002. I'll say the date. It's been a long time coming, and it's been an awful lot of people involved in this project, and everybody today should pause and congratulate themselves and take a moment to be proud of what you have done as a community. And yes, there was funding not only from the senator and from the representative, but if I remember correctly, there was some initial funding from Barney Frank as well. I mean, this has been an involved project that has involved the entire community. Gail recognized my colleagues in government who are here today, who are currently serving, Council Lemus, Council Lopes, and Council Ribeiro, but this project's been going on for so long that Council Martins is in the crowd, and so is Council Gonzalez. They've been working along with us for these many years to move this project forward. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank the members of the current and past boards and commissions in the city of New Bedford who have supported this project over the course of the many years, who have worked with Gail and with Yvonne to be sure that the initial approvals were revised without lots of additional costs for the Y to be able to have to move the project forward. And I congratulate the past presidents. I congratulate Gail and Yvonne. There's a vision here. They've been attempting to do this for a long time. They were wise enough to change the scale of the project to make sure that they could accommodate what they needed here, but get the project completed. And that takes a lot of guts to stand up and say, well, I wanted this, but maybe I just can't afford that right now, so let's try this so that we can do a project that's for the best of the community. This is going to be a wonderful facility, brings many services that the Y currently has spread out around the region to this one place, and is just the first step of what will be the continued growth of the YWCA here in New Bedford and throughout the region. Slow and steady wins the race, and today, ladies, you won the race. Thank you for your vision, thank you for your commitment, and most of all, thank you for what you do for the children and the families within our community. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you, Councilor Morad. And I'll be remiss, I did forget to mention that this did start off with Congressman Barney Frank and actually Senator Kerry at the time with appropriations when they were still doing appropriations back in DC through HUD. So that tells you how long we've been going. So next, it's my pleasure to introduce, we'll have dual speakers, Roger Hazard, the Executive Director of the Community Economic Development Assistance Corporation, and Teresa Jordan, the Director of the Children's Investment Fund.
Thank you, Gail, and congratulations to the board and staff of the YWCA Southeastern Mass for its tremendous effort to begin the renovation and expansion of the historic Levi Standish House into the Under One Roof initiative, which will provide supportive housing for women and education space serving low-income community members. It's really an honor for us to join with Mayor Mitchell, Senator Montigny, Representative Cabral, Council President Murad, and our DHCD colleague Susan Terry to celebrate this groundbreaking. Why are there two of us up here? CDAC, rather than that long name, CDAC is how you should think of us, and we have an affiliate, Children's Investment Fund. This is such a unique project. CDAC is the state's technical assistance provider to nonprofit community development organizations across the state. And we work in several key areas, affordable housing and childcare being two of our main ones. And our affiliate takes the lead on early education programs. And the idea of co-locating badly needed supportive housing and education space into this one facility is such a rare and excellent achievement. Teresa Jordan, our Director of Children's Facilities Finance, will speak about the early education component.
Thanks, Roger. And actually, I heard that the second to the last speaker is the most important. Sorry. But good morning,
For
everyone.
the first time ever, you're going to see politicians now fighting to be fighting to be last. It's a miracle. You pulled this off. It's a miracle.
Congratulations to the Y and the YWCA on the $800,000 Early Education and Out of School Time Capital Fund Award to create a center for the school-age children, the YW Kids. So congratulations, Gail. The Children's Investment Fund, just a little bit about who we are. We provide technical assistance, financing, and training to nonprofit child care centers that are planning to do projects just like this. Those that are planning to do renovations to their spaces or create new construction for low-income children. I'd like to recognize Bree Horwitz, who is the Senior Project Manager. Bree, if you can raise your hand, who's worked with Gail and her team on this project as well. And we work with nonprofit organizations that serve a high proportion of children living in poverty. These organizations really have resources to invest in improvements to their physical plant. And just a little background about how we got to this place. In 2011, we completed the first ever statewide facility inventory, and it was a sample of 182 child care sites throughout the state. And most of the sites in the inventory face the combined challenges of poor indoor air quality, cramped classrooms, inadequate heating and cooling, lack of windows in some classrooms, accessibility issues, and other problems. One of the key recommendations in that report was to develop a public funding mechanism that would permit funds for acquisition of property, renovations, major repairs, and to newly construct out-of-school time facilities like the YW Kids that serve low-income children. So we had the data and a good report that described existing conditions and needs in early ed and out-of-school time sites that are serving children on public subsidy. And we heard constantly from providers about the financial barriers to upgrading their space. We worked with legislators and advocates to create legislation for a child care bond bill. 3 years later, for the first time ever, capital funds were allocated to renovate or build new facilities such as early ed and out-of-school time programs. And then, at that time, the 2013 Housing Bond Bill included a provision that established the EEOST is the acronym we use for this program. So Massachusetts is the first state to establish capital funding for early care providers as part of a community development bond program. We are once again leading the way in education and community development. And I'd like to thank Senator Montigny and Representative Cabral for your support of the program. So 21 projects have been funded through the 3 rounds of the early EEOST program that total a little bit over $15 million. The YW received a grant this time last year. 86% of the children served in those 21 programs are on public subsidy. 11 of the 21 programs are in gateway cities like New Bedford, and the EEOST is leveraging over $44 million in other funding. So these projects will create better activity spaces for children and improve space for staff and parents. The funding will improve places for over 2,000 children. We all know that without childcare, parents cannot work, and without high-quality childcare, disadvantaged children cannot thrive because deprivation and stress in early childhood interfere with healthy development and learning. The EEOST Capital Fund is helping providers create well-designed facilities that support children's healthy development. And we are grateful to the administration for the first 5 years of the program and look forward to the program being reauthorized for another 5 years for $45 million. And across the state, there are providers like the YWCA that are planning renovation projects, getting ready to apply when the governor announces the next round of funding. So we thank you for inviting us to join you today for this groundbreaking celebration. Thank you.
And I'm just going to quickly, because I know we got to wrap up. On the housing side, this project also has a really interesting history that I'm not going to bore you with. But also, Senator Montigny and Rep. Cabral played a key role because in 2012 they passed something called the Community Housing and Services Act that called on the administration to improve the way we produce supportive housing. And improvements were needed. And one of the improvements that happened was we came up with a coordinated approach for funding projects with three kinds of funds: capital to build, operating money to run the facility, and service dollars to deliver the services. And this project is the beneficiary of that expedited approach to fund the housing piece of this. So we are thrilled to see this project get going, and we look forward to coming back and seeing the finished product. Congratulations, Gail, to you and your team.
And I'd like to introduce Susan Terry from the Massachusetts Department of Housing and Community Development.
Good morning, everyone. Going with the analogies, I guess I'll have to go with sports and say I'm batting cleanup. But I'll make it quick before it rains. I'm really proud to be able to be here representing the Department of Housing and Community Development and the Baker-Polito administration. The Department of Housing and Community Development has a great job. We're able to give funding to projects like this, whether it's through hard dollars or through vouchers. And in this project, we're particularly delighted to have been able to help. We have been able to support these 8 units that are going to be connected to the child care. But at DHCD, because we're a housing development agency, we're really excited as well about the 8 permanent supportive units that will be a part of this project, that will give women a place to call home, that will give them a way to, as Senator Montigny said, level the playing field, give them the advantages so that they can begin to face the challenges that they need to overcome to move on in their lives. And even better than that, this project combines it with daycare, because one of the things that this state needs, as much as we desperately need more affordable housing, is good quality daycare. And Gail and her team has managed to provide both of those things for the great city of New Bedford. We're really proud to be here. We're really thrilled to be able to support the great work of the YWCA, and we're happy to be able to be here with our partners from the state who have supported us through the bond bill and through the city of New Bedford, whose commitment to this project, both through Mayor Mitchell and Councilor Morad, show their strong commitment to the women and children and the people of the city of New Bedford. So thank you all so much for allowing us to be a part of this celebration. I think I talked quick enough to avoid the rain, so I'm out of here. Thank you.
2 quick things that I just saw. Glenda from Congressman Keating's office. So Glenda, thank you for being here. And I saw June Gogan from Bay Coast Bank. I just wanted to recognize you. Without you, we wouldn't be here. When we were going to the bank and we were working with Bay Coast, they contributed a lot to the campaign. Nicole at the time, our president, worked at Bay Coast, and she started us off thinking about we need to make some revisions. And she introduced us to the Women's Institute. And that led us to where we are now. So I want to thank you for that. June, thank you so much. And Mary Ellen DeFrias from Mass Development, thank you so much. So we have wonderful, wonderful partners, not only in the city, in the state, federally, private partners. We're really, really excited to be here. So now, Nicole, I think we're ready for the shows. Okay.